Thank you so much one more time. And it's a really a big honor for me. And it's my first time in this role of interviewer. And and you know, this noise today and all things went wrong.
Okay.
So I'm so sorry for that, and I think it will be not for a long time. So it will not permanent. And I will do my best to be clear enough. And like you all know that I'm not a native speaker. So I think people who are joining us now know you, but for that people who will be see the recording, I'll introduce you first.
Okay.
And guys, now you can see and listen to Rosi Robinson, who is vice chair of the Batik Guild, who is an artist, is based in the UK, and also spends some months in the USA, in Canada. And it's interesting fact that Rosie teaches workshops on 2 continents, and also can drive 8 hours without rest. So, and almost.
I've just driven down from Scotland. That's why she mentions that.
Yeah, and I'm really impressed because 8 hours. Yeah, I was shocked when you told me. Really. So how do you organize so many activities in your life? And maybe this kind of personal question, where did you get all this energy for your activity?
I don't know. I guess I'm old, but I feel young and I feel healthy. I'm enthusiastic. I love working with people, and I love. No, ask me the questions and then you can edit things. So.
Yeah. So I had not a lot of, but maybe 5 or 6 questions for today. So first of all, I wanted to ask you about how did you come to the batik? What is your story?
Well, my story is sort of a long way around. I went to university in the States and I graduated with a history degree, and I came back to the UK, and the last thing I was going to do was teach well, but I decided in the end to do a teaching, a PGCE, a postgraduate certificate of education, and that was in Bristol. And it was only a 1-year course, but I had to go into, different schools and things. But there was one lady called Mary Dowling, and she introduced me to batik and screen printing and weaving and things. And I realized that I'd pushed art aside at school, mainly for academic reasons. And I also didn't feel that confident, draw something, but if someone said from your imagination, draw a cat or a tiger or something, I would think, oh, how is it? And, I would be hesitant. So with this course, I had to go into different schools, and I ended up teaching in a city, quite a forward-looking primary school in Bristol. And I ended up being the art specialist. So what we did, it was a team teaching school, and the headmaster we had 5 classes, what they call year 5 and year 6 now in the UK. And in the morning we taught our own class, maths and English, and in the afternoon we taught the children could choose which room to go into. Mm-hmm. So, well, say you had a topic like water. So there was a music room. You did watery music, maths, volume, history, science, and English. You write things, and I was in the art room. So I did not know who was coming in. And so I had to be quite ruthless, and it was a learning curve. But from then on, the school was just alive. Then I moved to, that's where I learned about batik. And
Mm-hmm.
those days, we dip dyed. So
Mm-hmm.
dip dyed in one color. So, so in actual fact, when we moved to Sussex in '83, and I applied for this job covering for someone who was on maternity leave, and 28 years later, I'm head of art in a school called Cumnor House School in Danehill in the Sussex, and luckily, I never knew that I loved art, but I never knew that I would have the opportunity to try different things like printing and collage and all sorts of things, 3D. And, so I did mainly teach all sorts of subjects, but I made sure that every child had a chance to do batik. So that's how I started.
Yeah, thank you. And about, can I continue about your education? You were studying in the USA, yeah?
Yeah.
And how at that time did you make this decision to go to studying abroad?
Well, a good friend of my mother's went to Vassar herself, and she said, "Look, they're offering foreign students scholarships." So I had no idea what I was wanting to do, and I had an interview and things, and I ended up doing 3 years. I came in as a sophomore, and it's a liberal arts college, so you do all sorts of things. So you did music, and I did history of art, and but my main major was history, and
Mm-hmm.
I did French. But if you if you listen to my French now, it's pretty bad. So no, what happened was that I it was mainly academic, uh, but it introduced me to different parts of the world, and uh, and the reason, I think it was probably the best thing I ever did. Uh, it gave you confidence. So I came back, and I still didn't know what I was going to do, but and I haven't actually used my history except when I give talks about certain things. But otherwise, I just by chance, it happened, I suppose, since I started teaching, I've been lucky in order, there's some of the things that I've done. I never knew that I could teach. And here I, 43 years later, who taught. Yeah. So, and it's also, thank goodness for holidays, because I exhibited abroad.
Mm-hmm.
I did, did workshops, and also, you could do it with your children as well when they were growing up. So good.
Yeah, interesting. And you said that you spent when you was a student, you spent 3 years in the US, yeah,
Yeah,
3 years, and after that you came back to the UK. Yeah, yeah.
I'm from Edinburgh. From
Mm-hmm.
so and so when I did come back, I worked there for a year, and then came down to Bristol, and that
Mm-hmm.
ended. And well, I'm not there now, but that's where I studied, and I taught there for about 8 years. I also, actually, this is nothing to do with batik, but I also was seconded as a teacher on local radio, BBC local radio.
Wow.
I used I used to write stories for kids, and
Wow.
they were passed, to schools. which was amazing. So
Yeah, you never told me about it before. It's interesting. So we can learn English with your stories,
yes.
with my kids, for example. That's nice. Yeah, with pleasure. I would like to hear it.
Well, it's not important for this one, but I used to write them about pieces of dust. Rumpus the fluff bug, and 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 his friend Molecule. But that's another story.
We will come back to Batik, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and you taught not only Batik for many years, and you taught not only adults, you also taught kids. And what is the most important for you? Creating art by yourself or teaching others?
I probably think both. Partly because I do batik or something to do with batik every day, and there is something I'm always wanting to try different subject or try a different technique or something like that. But the joy of teaching is when you show someone how the process, because it's a back to front process. You have to wax what you want to keep white and then build up the color washes of colors, and the joy is when someone it understands it, or I mean if they've worked in watercolors they find it quite easy, but what I find it not only a challenge sometimes in doing my own work because you come across problems, but it's also teaching people the tricks of the trade, something that how do you get that? Of course you can't do every single dot of a leaf, so how can you get the effect by using other things to wax on and things, and also the how the beautiful colors are instantaneous, and when you hit the fabric or the paper, well, fabric mainly, it spreads and it's wonderful. You can do
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
The magic.
Yeah, for me, it's also one of the most important moment of magic when you see how dyes are spreading
Yeah.
out on fabric. So yeah, and I think also in workshops there is a lot of inspiration from the artworks of the students, and sometimes you see very interesting way of thinking and very interesting results, I think.
Oh, well, I always learn something from
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I can understand, and I also have the same feeling.
They come across a problem, and then and you think, okay, how would I do that? And then you sort of suggest it. And what's nice about teaching is that, okay, you go and try it, try it out for me. Yes, and of course there's failures and things, but you try and get around it. Um, I always say that with batik, you go with the flow. The actual
Yeah.
the waxing part can take a long time, especially the first waxing, and also the drawing out. It's important. In my work, mine's figurative, but I do sort of free things sometimes. But usually, I'm doing I take photographs, lots of photographs, and I can only really mainly for sort of to start me off or give me inspiration.
Mhm.
Um, and then of course, when you actually start batiking, you're going to blob the wax or the dye creeps underneath something, and you think, oops, I've got to go and try and do something different. And so it pushes me out of my comfort zone. And quite often people say, well, wouldn't it be easier to paint? And I say, well, um, if I painted, it would probably be too exact. It wouldn't live. With a batik, you have the challenge of trying to do something and get the colors and so on. But I think with batik, it also goes into the fabric.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you work on paper, it sort of sinks into the paper too. But with fabric, it flows much better. And I think that, you can step back and, it's instant and it's, fantastic. So I'm waffling now. So
And
go on.
one spontaneous question. And for example, you have a plan to make one piece of batik, and you have an idea, and you have all the references, photos, drafts, all you can usually use. And how often do you want to repeat? How often you are not satisfied with the result? It's a normal thing for you to repeat the artwork, or usually you have no mistakes, or you can just create some interesting way to play with your mistakes. So
Yes, I think the difficulty is, on the whole, you do it once, because you can never, I do have prints done of my work, so
yeah.
therefore it's repeated. But occasionally, I mean, like this one, this is a print, but this, I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, super, thank you.
I did that. I had taken photographs, so I had lots of different things. And when I was doing it, I was going crazy, sort of, which ripple am I on? But it is sort of colors building from light gray up to black. But someone did ask me to do another original,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if I did it better or worse, but they wanted more blue in it, so I
Mm-hmm.
did. But I was so intricate, and I think I needed to, let it be a little bit looser. But I did have, in 2022, I got an email from the BBC, and they said, we're coming. This is the BBC Bargain Hunt. I'd never watched Bargain Hunt before, and I thought, because they said, we're coming to Sussex, to the Ardingly, and we'd like to film you. And I thought, why me? Now, usually when they go to places like Wales or Devon or something, in Wales, they would choose a little 5-minute slot in the middle of the broadcast. They would choose a castle or a museum, and they would discuss that. And the only other one I saw was in Devon. They used to have a lace factory, and they did a 5-minute slot in that. But I'm not from Sussex. I live in Sussex. I do Sussex scenes, but apart from that, I'm from Edinburgh. And also, batik is not a technique that you find in Sussex. I mean, it's not traditional in Sussex. Anyway, they did come and they filmed me for 2.5 hours for under 5 minutes. I was in a workshop in this Bath's summer school, textile summer school, and in August of that year, and suddenly my phone went bing, bing, bing. Unbelievable, the numbers of contacts, buying prints, thank goodness I had a website, and thank goodness I had PayPal. And there I sold 7 originals and lots of prints and lots of cards, and I was going away two weeks later, and I thought I was having to get up and early and pack everything. Then the same thing happened on the 31st of October 2024, and then again in September this last year. And what happened was, the second time, it was a surprise. I didn't know that they were going to rebroadcast it. And what they did was, I had one image that which was I had demonstrated on the film, and it was called Full Flight. It was birds with in the and the sunset.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I sold the original twice. I mean, I've got it's not done here. Where is it? It's this one.
Yeah, I used it in the morning for the video.
So that one, I did it twice in half an hour. So I had to tell the second person, I will do you another. I can't guarantee it's going to be exactly right, but at least the design, I had the drawing and everything, so it wasn't too bad. But I went and delivered the first one to someone who lived near my son, and he was disabled on dialysis and things. And I thought, wow, the fact that he spent a lot of money just by pressing a button. When I delivered it, I said, he was so grateful, and he said, oh, thank you for coming. And I said, what made you want to buy the picture, the batik? And he said, when I saw it on television, I just had to have it. And I felt really touched. I thought, well, here's someone that would never go to a gallery, couldn't, go upstairs and things like that. So I realized that actually television brings things into the home. Anyway, I did do it the second batik, and yeah, and they liked it. But I don't like repeating. That was easier to repeat than many of the ones that I've done.
Yeah,
So,
I can understand it. Yeah.
so
Yeah. And I ask this question because when we see some masterpiece or some very nice artwork, we never know how many attempts the artist did for it.
well, I usually, if it's, I've got another story, but I won't. I usually try and succeed every time. Doesn't happen. And sometimes you can cut them up or something, but on the whole, they come out in a different way. I mean, if sometimes they come out completely different from what I planned, but they
Mm-hmm.
still work in some sort of way. So who knows? I know where it goes wrong, not everyone else. So,
And how do you define usually? Do you have a do you usually define, for example, this artwork I would like to make for sale, this one I would like to create just for fun?
no, I mainly for myself. I don't necessarily do it for sale. You never can tell,
Yeah.
what people like. And sometimes you may have something and it sells and you think, okay, but it sells immediately. And other times you may have it for a couple of years
Yeah.
and it suddenly calls out. I mean, I basically do it because I want to try a different technique. I want
Mm-hmm.
myself. So I've been lucky that I've sold well, but I'm not doing it to sell.
Yeah.
So
Thank you for your answer. And have you ever? I think you had. Have you ever have orders when, for example, person comes to you and ask to paint something with his idea?
Yes, I do have orders for that, and I'm actually, but, and I say that I like commissions, but to be honest, no, not really. Um, I've done a lot of deck chair ones, which are actually very difficult to do in batik because you're having to think back.
Mm-hmm.
I have the shadow of the person sitting in the thing, and it's difficult to get the gradation and things. Well, anyway, I've done about three or four, but someone commissioned me to do their beautiful garden with them sitting in deck chairs. and raising a glass or something. Well, I never take on a commission when you don't have any deck chairs to sit on. I went to their garden, took lots of photographs of them sitting in chairs, but I didn't have deck chairs. So, and this was a big batik, and I started doing the batiks, a garden first, and I kept on coming up. When am I going to do it? When am I going to do it? And so I ended up going up to, whenever I was up in London, I would go to St. James's Park and take pictures of people in deck chairs. But the trouble is, people in deck chairs are slouching and they're not really doing it. So eventually I did, belatedly, buy a deck chair, and I got a friend of mine to sit in it in different angles. And thank goodness that the couple really liked the batik, but it took a couple of years to actually finish it properly. So yeah, that's it's difficult. And also, when you're doing a commission, you want to make sure they like it. I always say, don't worry if you don't like it, because I'll keep it, you know. So
Yeah.
they come to me, and I just say, well, you know, I'll do my best, but if you don't like it, you don't have to buy it.